There is a war going on, a spiritual war, a war between truth and deception. Only one thing cuts through all the lies and opinions of man. It's the truth of an ancient book. It is God's word. It is God's sword.
Well, go with me to Jeremiah. We'll be in chapter 39, but we should back up to a few verses into chapter 38, which we already studied. We'd already gone over. But let's do this, at least portion of it, because it brings us up to Jeremiah's circumstances in chapter 39. He's still incarcerated. Remember, he was rescued out of an awful pit. It cast him into a cistern, no doubt broken cistern that was full of mire. He'd been rescued by this eunuch. And then ultimately, chapter 39, verse 14 says, then King Zedekiah sent and had Jeremiah the prophet brought to him at the third entrance that is in the house of Yahweh. And the king said to Jeremiah, I'm going to ask you something. Do not hide anything from me. Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, if I tell you, will you not certainly put me to death? Besides, if I give you counsel, you will not listen to me. But Zedekiah swore to Jeremiah in secret, saying, as Yahweh lives who made this life for us, surely I will not put you to death, nor will I give you over to the hand of these men who are seeking your life. And Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, thus says Yahweh, God of hosts, the God of Israel, if you will indeed go out to the officers of the king of Babylon, then you'll live. The city will not be burned with fire. You and your household will live. But if you will not go out to the officers of the king of Babylon, then the city will be given over to the Chaldeans. And they will burn it with fire, and you yourself will not escape from their hand. Man, you just can't get any plainer a message from God. And I just want to point out to you that all along this whole ministry of Jeremiah, he has been right all the time. He has constantly been right. The false prophets have been wrong. They're just always wrong. They always say things that are not true. Now, even this happened. This exchange between Zedekiah and Jeremiah happened during a time when the Babylonians had to pull away in their siege. In their attempt to take Jerusalem, they had to pull away. They had to go deal with the Egyptians. False prophets were telling everybody, telling the king, you're not going to see those Babylonians again. They're not going to come back. Well, they're wrong. And I'm just saying, Jeremiah was proved right at every single event. Every single thing Jeremiah said happened. Everything the false prophet said did not happen. A generation before, Isaiah is the prophet that God would specify repeatedly that he is the only one who knows the future, and he proves who his true prophets are by fulfilling their words. The true prophets are connected to him, and he, God, he transcends creation. He's separate from it. And so, time is part of creation. Time, space, and matter, it's all part of creation. God is transcendent from it. He's separate from it. He existed before he made it. And so to him, time is laid bare. And he proves that the real messengers that speak for him are the real prophets by fulfilling their words, by giving them glimpses. So Zedekiah asks Jeremiah. The very fact that he asks him tells you he's got some strong suspicion. Jeremiah speaks the truth and he's right. So he's been given the simple word from Yahweh, go out and surrender. You'll live. You'll save the city, you'll save these people. Don't, and you will be given over. They'll destroy the city, and you won't escape. Verse 19, the king Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, I'm anxious because of the Jews who've gone over to the Chaldeans, lest they give me over into their hands and they deal severely with me. He's a coward. He's got his fears. Jeremiah has just told him the truth. Jeremiah has been validated over and over. You would think Zedekiah would just listen. But he is too stupid. Too stupid to save himself. Jeremiah said, they will not give you over. Please listen to the voice of Yahweh and what I'm saying to you, that it may go well with you and that you may live. There's a guy pleading with him. A guy pleading who wants the best for him. A messenger of Yahweh who actually wants him to survive all of this. Oh, man. I just want you to live, that you may live. Verse 21, but if you keep refusing to go out, this is the word which Yahweh has shown me. Behold, all the women who have remained in the house of the king of Judah are going to be brought out to the officers of the king of Babylon. And behold, these women will say, your close friends have misled and overpowered you. While your feet were sunk in the mud, they turned back. And they will also bring out all your wives and your sons to the Chaldeans, and you yourself will not escape from their hand, but will be seized by the hand of the king of Babylon, and the city will be burned with fire. Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, which is weird. He doesn't say, I believe you. He doesn't say, I don't believe you. He just says, let no man know about these words. Don't tell anybody what you've told me. I don't want anybody else to know what you've said. And you will not die. But if the officials hear that I have talked with you and come to you and say to you, tell us what you said to the king. What the king said to you, don't hide it from us, and we will not put you to death. Then you are to say to them, I was presenting my petition before the king, not to make me return to the house of Jonathan to die there. And all the officials came to Jeremiah and questioned him, so he told them in accordance with all these words which the king had commanded, and they ceased speaking with him, since the conversation had not been overheard. So Jeremiah stayed in the court of the guard until the day that Jerusalem was captured. Chapter 39. Now when Jerusalem was captured, in the 9th year of Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 10th month, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and all his military force, came to Jerusalem and laid siege to it. In the 11th year of Zedekiah, the 4th month, in the 9th day of the month, the city was breached. So the siege lasted for 18 months. It was an 18-month standoff. All food cut off, all supplies cut off from coming into Jerusalem, and they're just in there trying to hold out. They have water, but their food, that's the issue. And ultimately, the walls are breached. From the 10th of January in the year 588 BC to the 9th of July, 587, again, it was interrupted only briefly by that event recorded back in chapter 37. Walls are being breached. It says in verse 3, that all the officials of the king of Babylon came in. I'm going to do my best to pronounce these Babylonian names and titles. All the officials of the king of Babylon came in and sat down in the middle gate. The middle gate is like going right to your capital. Going to your capital. Not the palace, but the capital. That's the middle gate. The gate is where all of the governmental business was done. Nergal-Sharezer, Shamgar, Nebu, and these are, again, name and title. Sarsekim, the Rabsaris, Nergal-Sharezer, the Rabmag. If you want a good title, Chief Magi, Rabmag. So the Rabmag and all the rest of the officials, so you got the chief official, Rabsaris, and you got Rabmag. All the rest of the officials of the king of Babylon. Now it happened, when Zedekiah, the king of Judah, and all the men of war saw them, they fled and went out of the city at night. By the way, the king's garden through the gate between the two walls, and he went out toward Arabah, toward the Arabah. So he's heading. He could have crossed the Jordan River if he had just one more hour, probably, and escaped. But it was already prophesied that he would not escape. It is a reality that Ezekiel the prophet, prophesying about the same time, prophesied in Ezekiel 12:12, the prince who is among them shall bear his belongings on his shoulder at twilight and go out. They shall dig through the wall to carry them out through it. He shall cover his face so that he cannot see the ground with his eyes. Man. Also, Ezekiel 12:13, I will also spread my net over him, and he shall be caught in my snare. So he takes off. The guy is too stupid to hear and respond to the true message of God that could have saved his life, saved the city from destruction, saved his whole family. But because he's afraid, anxious, as he said, and a little worried, because of the opinions of men, it's costing him everything. But he is going to attempt to, that is, escape. He's got a secret passage. They got a way out. The regular guy doesn't have this secret passage, but the king has one. And he escapes and gets outside the walls of the city, but he doesn't get that far. So we read that in verse 5, the military force of the Chaldeans pursued them and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho. And they took him in the plains of Jericho. So again, he was getting close to his, the border. They brought him up to Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, at Riblah in the land of Hamath, and he spoke judgment on him. Now, I got to remind you again that Zedekiah refused to listen. He refused the warnings. He refused the good offers from God. A generation earlier, about 130 years prior, in the days of Hezekiah, you remember how we read how God rescued Jerusalem from the Assyrians. And one night, one angel, 186,000 Assyrians killed in one night. So that, you had that event where God's true prophet spoke and God fulfilled it. But now in Zedekiah's day, false prophets are saying, God, these big miracles are going to happen, and they were wrong. Jeremiah was right. Zedekiah is a stupid king, and he wouldn't listen. Verse 6 says, "Then the king of Babylon slaughtered the sons of Zedekiah." Now, I remind you that he'd already marched against Jerusalem, already had to do the siege previously, had already taken away one whole wave of, the nobility. And Zedekiah was essentially a vassal king, and he had the stupidity to think that he could rebel. And again, disregarding all the words of God's true prophets. The king of Babylon slaughtered the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes at Riblah. The king of Babylon also slaughtered all the nobles of Judah. Then he blinded Zedekiah's eyes and bound him in fetters of bronze to bring him to Babylon. This is a cruel. They're not. The Babylonians are not like the cruelest. They're not like the Assyrians, who had really mastered cruelty. But a tyrant, a totalitarian, a king like Nebuchadnezzar, is going to make a statement about a king that rebelled against him, about a king that dared to challenge him. And the cruelty of it, you must admit, that's really creative. The very last thing that the man will ever see is the slaughter of his whole line, his descendants, his sons. The last thing he will see is that act of execution, and then his eyes are gone, and he's left alive to continue, as it were, to see that. Our brother David Guzik included in his commentary, this fulfilled the mysterious promise that God made through Ezekiel regarding Zedekiah shortly before the fall of Jerusalem. Quote, I will bring him to Babylon, to the land of the Chaldeans, yet he shall not see it, though he shall die there. I'll bring him there, but he won't see it. That had already been prophesied by Ezekiel. I'll bring him to the land of Babylon, but he won't see it. There was also, Guzik included, he always includes a good John Trapp. I love John Trapp. David Guzik introduced me to the commentator, and I have enjoyed. He's got away with words. John Trapp said, the eyes of whose mind had been put out long before, else he might have foreseen and prevented this evil, as prevision is the best means of prevention. Had he taken warning by what was foretold. That's eloquent. Zedekiah. It's tragic, really. It didn't have to be that way. Didn't have to be that way. All right, let's talk about us. You've heard about Zedekiah stupid. Isn't it true that you and I are not real good at keeping records of who's credible and who is not credible? Are there people in your life, are there people that have actually been, in a sense, prophet or prophetess? Are there people in your life that have not actually spoken on behalf of God, and when you heed their counsel, it's a blessing, it always works out, and when you reject it, you always regret it? Has anyone's heart ever lied to them? Okay. I'm just asking, has anybody here ever regretted believing themselves? Man. So there's somebody that we ought to tell, not just shut up, but die. And that would be self. Not just shut up, get out of my face. I want to. I got to illustrate this, and forgive me. This is kind of gross, but my buddy, our friend, Phoenix grad, he's really friendly with animals. He loves animals. He's a weird guy that way. He thinks they always have a connection, and he always thinks it's me. Hey, I mean, this is a total stranger. We've had some fun doing disaster relief. That time we went down to Alabama, did some disaster relief. Somebody got footage. It might have been my son. I think it was John. Footage. Phoenix is alone, and there's this alley cat. I think John's on a roof, and Phoenix is like, hey. And he's making his approach and trying to be all friendly, and that cat's like, get out of here. And then Phoenix is all hurt. He's all alone. He doesn't know he's being filmed. Well, you guys know my dog Rex. He's kind of rambunctious and rowdy. But, they get along great until one day. My dog seemed to have eaten paper towels. And they were an impressive product because they remained intact as they were hanging out. Kind of dragging him along. He's trying to play, which is all he wants to do. And he's got paper towel hanging out. Are you with me? Are you with me on this? Oh. I'm thinking, I'm not getting involved with this. I mean, this is the dog's problem. But when the dog stopped and reached back and pulled it out with his own teeth, Phoenix was filled with contempt. I couldn't believe the instant change. He was so offended, so deeply offended, that gross action had just taken place in front of him. He's just going, get away from me! Just screaming like it was the moment he discovered that's a dog. And he does dog stuff. Get away from me! He was like, Paul, don't come near me, don't touch me. He was truly grossed out. I laughed really hard, I really did. I was grossed out, but dogs are dogs. That's why dogs do not lick my face, ever. But he was, apparently, he was really offended. It was like that was, but I remember his tone, I remember his words, just get away from me. That is exactly what you ought to say to your lion self. You shut up and get away from me. Die. When you go through the book of Acts, you read the Apostle Paul is chained to a centurion. He's on his way to Rome. You remember that whole deal? And he told them, sirs, this is the captain of the ship, the centurion, everybody involved. I perceive this ship is going to, this journey at this season is going to cost us more than it's worth. He gave a warning. But they believed the guy that was motivated by money, and that was the ship's captain, and he made a big investment. And so they launch out into the Mediterranean, and it goes really bad. You guys know that. If you read through the book of Acts, this awful storm that keeps them for weeks in the darkness and a horrible storm of wind where they cannot even know if it's at night or day. They can't tell. Day just seems to blend into day and night. They actually reached a real point of despair, and then Paul, he emerges from somewhere. He'd been on the ship alone with God, and he makes this whole presentation where he says, listen, you should have listened to me and not have experienced all of this loss. Now that is not a gloating apostle going, told you. Instead, he said, he pointed out that he was right. He pointed it out so that he would have the credibility to be able to tell them, now I have heard from God and everybody's going to live. But the ship's it's doomed. It's a total loss. I prayed for every one of you, and God he's told me everybody lives. I prayed for every soul, everyone. But the ship is going to be destroyed. And sure enough, it's just as he said. But again, there were guys who thought, no way, it ain't going to work out like he says. And they were taking a lifeboat. They're going to take the lifeboat and sneak off. The actual sailors were abandoning ship, leaving everybody there. Paul became aware of it, told the centurion. The centurion said, swing. Cut the ropes, lost the boat. In other words, we are all going to be saved together, as this man has said, because he heard from God. So it's it's an amazing thing how the centurion in that whole account comes to the place of realizing who's credible, and he listens to him. I'm just saying, you guys, we got to do the same. We should do better at taking note of who has lied to us. Nobody's done that more than us. We should take note of who has spoken truth to us and heed them. Who has been the messenger of God? Who has been proven right? Right? We should we not? I don't want to be as stupid as Zedekiah. I don't want to end up like Zedekiah. So credibility belonged to Jeremiah. Verse 8, continuing in chapter 39, says, and the Chaldeans also burned with fire the house of the king and the houses of the people, and he tore down the walls of Jerusalem. As for the rest of the people who remained in the city, the defectors who had gone over to him, and the rest of the people who remained, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the bodyguard, took them away into exile in Babylon. Listen, being taken in exile to Babylon is not, it's not ideal. It's not what God wanted. But it's also not the worst thing that can happen. You can do well. You can enjoy yourselves. Remember Jeremiah chapter 29, where God tells the captives, they're already, build houses, settle down. You're going to be there. Make some investments. Make some money. Move on with your marriage plans. You're going to be there a while. I want you to seek the peace of the city where I've sent you. For in its peace you'll find peace. So there's still good times to be had. There's still blessing. So the defectors, those who surrender themselves, they they're taken to Babylon. And verse 10, but some of the poorest people who had nothing, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the bodyguard, had them remain in the land of Judah and gave them vineyards and fields at that time. So you don't want a land totally gone completely to waste. He's really poor. Just go, guess what? You got vineyards. You've got stuff. Do what you can with them. Make a living. Verse 11 says, now Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, gave command about Jeremiah through Nebuzaradan, the captain of the bodyguard, saying, take him and set your eyes to look after him and do nothing harmful to him, but rather deal with him just as he speaks to you. In other words, you go find out what that guy, the prophet Jeremiah, wants and make it happen for him. So clearly, word has reached, probably some of the earlier defectors have informed the Babylonians that the voice of reason is inside the walls, and that is the prophet Jeremiah telling them, surrender. God has raised Babylon up. Your idolatry is being judged in this way, and the best thing that can happen to you now is you become captives. So being made aware of that, this pagan king, he gave orders that Jeremiah should be favored. And so verse 13, so Nebuzaradan, captain of the bodyguard, sent word along with Nebuchadnezzar, or Nebuchadnezzar, let me do it right, the Rabsaris, and Nergal-Sharezer, the Rabmag, and all the leading officers of the king of Babylon. They even sent and took Jeremiah out of the court of the guard, gave him over to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, to take him home. So he stayed among the people. So Jeremiah stayed with them. He stayed among the people. He'd been given some options, but he's now no longer incarcerated. Verse 15 says, now the word of Yahweh had come to Jeremiah while he was confined in the court of the guard, saying, so he'd heard from God, go and speak. So he got this word from God while he was still incarcerated. Go and speak to Ebed-Melech, the Ethiopian. You remember that eunuch that lowered down ropes and hauled him out of that mire and saved his life. Speak to Ebed-Melech, the Ethiopian, saying, thus says Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel. Behold, I'm about to bring my words on the city for calamity and not for prosperity, and they will take place before you on that day. But I will deliver you on that day, declares Yahweh, and you will not be given into the hand of the men of whom you are terrified. So you can understand the eunuch, along with everybody else, are terrified by the Babylonian army and their forces. But God comforts him and gives him a message that you will be okay. In verse 18, for I will certainly provide you escape. You will not fall by the sword, but you'll have your own life as spoil because you have trusted in me, declares Yahweh. That must have been a blessing for Jeremiah to deliver the message to somebody he had appreciated, who did him kindness. Chapter 40. The word which came to Jeremiah from Yahweh after Nebuzaradan, captain of the bodyguard, had released him from Ramah, when he had taken him bound in chains among all the exiles of Jerusalem and Judah who were being exiled to Babylon, the captain of the bodyguard had taken Jeremiah and said to him, Yahweh, your God, promised this calamity against this place, and Yahweh has brought it on and done it just as he promised. Because you people sinned against Yahweh and did not listen to his voice, therefore this thing has happened to you. So now behold, I am freeing you today from the chains which are on your hands. So word had reached Nebuzaradan from Nebuchadnezzar. I'm freeing you today from the chains which are on your hands. If it is good in your eyes to come with me to Babylon, come along, and I'll set my eyes to look after you. But if it is displeasing in your eyes to come with me to Babylon, never mind. I mean, the whole land is before you. Go wherever it seems good and right in your eyes to go. That's a sort of a blank check, right, on options. But Jeremiah suffered a lot. He's been mistreated and hated for years. Everybody's counted him as a traitor. Verse 5, but as Jeremiah had not yet set out to return, he said, returned then to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, whom the king of Babylon has appointed over the cities of Judah. Stay with him among the people, or else go anywhere that is right in your eyes to go. So the captain of the bodyguard gave him a ration and a gift and let him go. So he set him up with, food and funds. What was it they called it in the Old West? He set him up with a grub stake. So he has his need met. Verse 6, then Jeremiah went to Mizpah to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, and stayed with him among the people who remained in the land. He stayed with the people. Now, who stayed in the land? But the poorest of the people. Jeremiah stayed with them. Then all the commanders of the military forces that were in the field, they and all their men, heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, over the land, and that he had appointed him over the men, women, little ones, and those of the poorest of the land who had not been exiled to Babylon. So they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah, along with Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, Johanan, and Jonathan, the sons of Kareah, and Sariah, the son of Tanhumeth, and the sons of Iphi, the Netophathite, and Jezaniah, the son of the Maacathite, both they and their men. Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, swore to them and to their men, saying, do not be afraid of serving the Chaldeans. Stay in the land and serve the king of Babylon, that it may go well with you. So Gedaliah, he's the governor. He's been left in charge. He gives them good advice. Now, as for me, I'm going to stay at Mizpah to stand before you, before the Chaldeans who come to us. But as for you, gather in wine and summer fruit and oil and put them in your storage vessels and stay in your cities that you have seized. And also all the Jews who were in Moab, among the sons of Ammon and in Edom, who were left in all the other lands, heard that the king of Babylon had left a remnant for Judah, and that he had appointed over them Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan. Then all the Jews returned from all the places where they had been banished and came to the land of Judah, to Gedaliah at Mizpah, and gathered in wine and summer fruit in great abundance. Now Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the military forces were in the field, came to Gedaliah at Mizpah and said to him, do you indeed know that Baalis, the king of the sons of Ammon, has sent Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, to strike down your life? But Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, did not believe them. So once again, in this narrative, in this little piece of history, a warning has been delivered. And again, it's not just one. It's certainly in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. And they are aware of the conspiracy. A conspiracy that involves this guy, Ishmael, son of Nethaniah. He's an assassin. He's a traitor. He's been bought. Gedaliah doesn't believe them. Maybe he's got this massive confidence, because he represents Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonian Empire. Well, he doesn't believe them. Verse 15, then Johanan, the son of Kareah, spoke secretly to Gedaliah in Mizpah, saying, let me go and strike down Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and not a man will know. Why should he strike down your life so that all the Jews who are gathered to you would be scattered and the remnant of Judah would perish? But Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, said to Johanan, the son of Kareah, do not do this thing, for you are telling a lie about Ishmael. Once again, another guy struck with a case of stupid. Verse 1 in chapter 41 says, now it happened in the 7th month that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, the son of Elishama, of the royal seed, one of the chief officers of the king, along with 10 men, came to Mizpah to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam. And they were eating bread together there in Mizpah. Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and the 10 men who were with him arose and struck down Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, with a sword, and put to death the one whom the king of Babylon had appointed over the land. Ishmael also struck down all the Jews who were with him, that is, with Gedaliah at Mizpah, as well as the Chaldeans who were found there, the men of war. Now it happened on the next day, after putting Gedaliah to death, when no one knew about it, that 80 men came from Shechem, from Shiloh, and from Samaria, with their beards shaved off and their clothes torn and their bodies gashed, having grain offerings and frankincense in their hands to bring to the house of Yahweh. So you got some guys who've been through a lot, but there's 80 of them, and there's only 10 with Ishmael. Then Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, went out from Mizpah to meet them, weeping as he went. And he's a faker. And as it happened, that as he encountered them, he said to them, "Come to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam." It happened that as soon as they came inside the city, Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and the men that were with him slaughtered them and cast them into the cistern. The cistern became a big grave, a mass grave. But 10 men who were found among them said to Ishmael, "Do not put us to death, for we have stores of wheat, barley, oil, honey hidden in the field." So he refrained and did not put them to death along with their companions. Now as for the cistern where Ishmael had cast all the corpses of the men who he had struck down because of Gedaliah, it was the one that King Asa had made on account of Baasha, king of Israel. Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, filled it with the slain. Filled it. It's a mass grave. Then Ishmael took captive all the remnant of the people who were in Mizpah, the king's daughters and all the people who remained in Mizpah, over whom Nebuzaradan, captain of the bodyguard, had appointed Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam. Thus Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, took them captive and went across over to the sons of Ammon. But Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the military forces that were with him heard of all the evil that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, had done. This guy Johanan, he wanted to prevent all of this. He wanted to take Ishmael out. He was stopped, and now it's all happened. So they took all the men and went to fight with Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and found him by the great pool that is in Gibeon. And now it happened that as soon as all the people who were with Ishmael saw Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the military forces that were with him, they were glad. So all the people whom Ishmael had taken captive from Mizpah turned around and returned and went to Johanan, the son of Kareah. But Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, escaped from Johanan with 8 men and went to the sons of Ammon. So he's in league with the king of Ammon, the Ammonites. So he escaped. Then Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the military forces that were with him took from Mizpah all the remnant of the people whom he had returned from Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, after he struck down Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam. That is, the mighty men who were men of war, the women, the little ones, and the eunuchs, whom he had returned from Gibeon. And they went and stayed in Garuth Chimham, which is beside Bethlehem, in order to proceed into Egypt because of the Chaldeans, for they were afraid of them, since Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, had struck down Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, whom the king of Babylon had appointed over the land. So now their plan is to flee again and to go to Egypt. The remnant, they're going to flee to Egypt. So this is history, but again, let's just read it and see that, the word of Jeremiah had been fulfilled. Chapter 42, verse 1. Then all the commanders of the military forces, Johanan, the son of Kareah, Jezaniah, the son of Hoshaiah, and all the people, both small and great, approached and said to Jeremiah the prophet, "Please, let our supplication come before you and pray for us to Yahweh your God." This is not a good indication. Yahweh your God. That is for all this remnant, because we remain but few out of many, as your eyes now see us. that Yahweh your God may tell us the way in which we should walk and the thing that we should do. Does this sound familiar? Because that's exactly what Zedekiah did. Just tell me what I'm supposed to do. They're asking, but watch what happens. And Jeremiah the prophet said to them, I have heard you. Behold, I'm going to pray to Yahweh, your God, in accordance with your words, and I will tell you the whole message which Yahweh will answer you. I will not keep back a word from you. And they said to Jeremiah, may Yahweh be a true and faithful witness against us if we do not act in accordance with the whole message which Yahweh your God will send. They go back to your God again, even after Jeremiah had corrected them. No, Yahweh your God. They swear. That's what they do. Whether it's good or bad, we will listen to the voice of Yahweh our God, to whom we are sending you, so that good may come to us when we listen to the voice of Yahweh our God. Now it happened that at the end of 10 days, the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah. So it wasn't instant. Jeremiah, he went and saw it. 10 days later, he's got an answer. Then he called for Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the military forces that were with him, and for all the people, both small and great. And he said to them, thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, to whom you sent me to present your supplication before him. If you will indeed stay in this land, I will build you up and not pull you down. I will plant you and not uproot you. For I have relented of the calamity that I've done against you. That's the heart of God. It's like so much suffering has already happened. Just stay. I'll take care of it, right? Do not be afraid of the king of Babylon, whom you are now fearing. So they're thinking of fleeing because the governor that Nebuzaradan left in charge has been murdered. They're going to get the wrath for it. They didn't do it, but they've got this illegitimate fear. Do not be afraid. You guys, listen. Surely when your children were little, you spent time with them, helping them to sort out legitimate versus illegitimate fear. Because everybody's got fears. When you're a little kid, you got fears. Some of them are good, right? You want them to be afraid of fire and have a good, healthy respect for fire. It's one of the first things before they have a sentence. You teach them the word hot, hot. You might let them just get close enough. And they get there. You go, ooh, hot, see, hot. And you want them to understand hot. Legitimate fear. You want them to understand cars will kill you. You've got to not go in that street. Don't play in that street. And when you do cross it, you hang on to my hat. Or you look both ways if you don't have me with you, right? There's the legitimate fears, and then there's the illegitimate fears. You know, stuff that's hiding in the closet and under the bed. Nothing there but dust bunnies. And you can help them with that. I'm all into it. Let's just, let's go under the bed, get a flashlight. Look, nothing, see? In fact, we can sleep under here. There's nothing under your bed. There's no monster. They don't exist. They're not real. So you want to help them sort out what's real and what isn't. There's an illegitimate fear. Now, it seems legitimate to them, but the prophet says, you asked me to go talk to God. And I'm telling you, do not be afraid of the king of Babylon, whom you are now fearing. Do not be afraid of him, declares Yahweh, for I'm with you to save you and deliver you from his hand. So what in the world made them go to Jeremiah in the first place? Well, he's got a track record. He's got credibility. He's got a connection. They're like, what do we do? What do we do? Go, go talk to God. Tell us. We'll do it, whatever it is. God said in verse 12, I will also show you compassion so that he will have compassion on you and return you to your own soil. But if you're going to say, we will not stay in this land, so as not to listen to the voice of Yahweh, your God, saying, no, but we will go to the land of Egypt where we will not see war or hear the sound of a trumpet or hunger for bread, and we will stay there. And now listen to the word of Yahweh, O remnant of Judah. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel, if you really set your face to enter Egypt, and you will enter to sojourn there, Then the sword, which you are afraid of, will overtake you there in the land of Egypt, and the famine, about which you're anxious, will follow closely after you there in Egypt, and you will die there. So all the men who set their faces to go to Egypt, to sojourn there, will die by the sword, by the famine, by the pestilence, and they will have no survivors, or any who escape from the calamity that I am going to bring on them. For thus says Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel, as my anger and my wrath have been poured out on the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so my wrath will be poured out on you when you enter Egypt. And you will become a curse and an object of horror and imprecation and a reproach, and you'll see this place no more. Yahweh has spoken to you, O remnant of Judah, do not go to Egypt. You should clearly know that today I have testified against you. For you have only led yourselves astray. Oh my goodness, what an expression. You have only led yourselves astray. For it is you who sent me to Yahweh your God, saying, pray for us to Yahweh our God, in according to all that Yahweh our God says, tell us so, and we will do it. So I have told you today, but you have not listened to the voice of Yahweh your God, even according to all that he has sent me to tell you. Isn't that awful? Jeremiah is pretty good about knowing. I can tell, you are not listening. You're not. So now, verse 22, you should clearly know that you will die by the sword, by famine, by pestilence, and the place where you desire to go to sojourn. Now, come on, I want you to think about this for a second. You guys tune in for a second. Tune in. All that reading. Imagine for just a moment you have a thought bubble, a mental picture, and you think down this road and down that road is this destination of happiness. It's a big thought bubble. Blessing, safety. And down this other road, in your thought bubble, hunger and danger, war, nothing but trouble. Should you believe yourself? Especially when you're a part of a people that have just continually blown it on this. Then you hear the word of God. You have a message from God. You sought it. You get a word from God. You should act on it. Act on that and you'll never regret it. But so many times we go, no, what I need to do is go down there or go over here. We think. Now I'm just asking, because God's pretty merciful, how many of us have done that? I'm not asking for show of hands, but how many of us have done that only to get there and discover painfully it was not what we thought it would be? We ripped ourselves off and we have wasted time. We thought it would be so much better there, but it was not better. The grass looked greener until you get over there and found out it was just AstroTurf. Or it's just grass. Same thing you had over there where you were. Chapter 43, verse 1, but it happened as soon as Jeremiah, whom Yahweh their God had sent, had finished speaking to all the people, all the words of Yahweh their God, that is, all these words, Azariah the son of Hoshea, and Johanan the son of Kareah, and all the arrogant men said to Jeremiah, you are speaking a lie. Don't you wish you could have been there and mocked them and go, are you serious? Can we just review the last 40 years? And when has this guy ever lied to us? When has anything that he has ever said not happened? What in the world? How could you possibly accuse him of speaking a lie? Yahweh our God has not sent you to say you are not to enter Egypt to sojourn there. But Baruch, the son of Neriah, is inciting you against us to give us over to the hand of the Chaldeans, so they'll put us to death or exile us to Babylon. Oh, no. And the exile to Babylon, again, means you're alive. and you're free. You're in Babylon, but you're free to do business, to live, to interact. They treat that like that's the worst thing imaginable. Verse 4, so Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the military forces and all the people did not listen to the voice of Yahweh to stay in the land of Judah. But Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the commanders of the military forces took the entire remnant of Judah who had returned from all the nations to which they had been banished in order to sojourn in the land of Judah, the men, the women, the little ones, the king's daughters, and every person that Nebuzaradan, the captain of the bodyguard, had left with Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the grandson of Shaphan, together with Jeremiah the prophet and Baruch the son of Neriah, and they entered the land of Egypt, for they did not listen to the voice of Yahweh, and they went in as far as Tahpanhes. And the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah in Tahpanhes, saying, oh my goodness, that means they drugged Jeremiah with them. Take some large stones in your hands, hide them in the mortar, in the brick terrace, which is at the entrance of Pharaoh's house in Tahpanhes, in the sight of some of the Jews. And you will say to them, thus says Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I'm going to send and get Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and I'm going to set his throne right over these stones that I've hidden, and I will spread his canopy over them. What a drag. So Jeremiah's gone on this, he's caught, he's captive, he's been accused of being a liar, he's taken into custody, they're down in Egypt, and God tells him to do this, act this out, take these large stones, hide them in the pavement. Tell them this is where the king of Babylon is going to park his throne, fellas. Verse 11, he will also come and strike the land of Egypt. Those who are meant for death will be given over to death, and those for captivity to captivity, and those for the sword to the sword. And I shall set fire to the houses of the gods of Egypt, and I will burn them and take them captive, so he will wrap himself with the land of Egypt as a shepherd wraps himself with his garment, and he'll depart from there safely. He will also shatter the sacred pillars of Heliopolis, which is in the land of Egypt, and the house of the gods of Egypt he will burn with fire. Oh my. So we've covered some chapters tonight, but it's all story, it's all history. But isn't it weird how it just keeps happening, the same thing? You know, people say, what are we supposed to do? And Jeremiah says, I'll tell you, but you won't listen. No, we'll listen. He tells them, they don't listen. And then he has to tell them what's going to happen, consequence. Just keeps happening. Poor Jeremiah, man, my heart goes out to this guy. He had the most fruitless, frustrating ministry, but God told him at the beginning, that's how it's going to be. That's how it will be. Of all the prophets, my heart goes out to him the most. We'll stop right there because the story goes on. It doesn't get any better through the next chapter.
Hey, thanks for listening. We pray the Word of God will speak to your heart as you meditate on it. If we can help you grow, or if you have any questions, you can visit us at our website at ccbangor.org. Give us a phone call at area code 207-991-9555, or you can shoot us an email at office@ccbangor.org. On behalf of Pastor Ken and all of us here at Calvary Chapel Central Maine, we wish you grace and peace.